Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we are out here on my 50-yard range taking a look at my new rugged Razor 762 suppressor. Let me show you this a little bit closer. Alright, so here it is. Not a whole lot to talk about on the suppressor itself. It is just over 6 inches long. I do not have the specs here with me, but this is a nice compact little can that's working great so far on my 300 Blackout. I purchased it and filed all the paperwork on February 9th and got a call on December 7th that it was ready to pick up. So about 10 months, plus or minus a couple of days, and here it is. I'm really glad to be able to shoot suppressed. I do live out in the country, but I do have neighbors within 200 or 300 yards in a couple of different directions, and figured it would be quite a bit nicer with all of the shooting that I do to shoot suppressed. I'm not going to go into all of the details and all of the reasons I chose to buy a suppressor and the process to go through and how loud it is and all of that different stuff. There are plenty of videos on YouTube about that. Today what I'm going to do is just show this suppressor on a couple of different guns. We're going to get the optics all dialed in here at 50 yards and figure out what our point of impact shift is with the suppressor on versus with the suppressor off. Now to do that, I'm going to show you a couple different things about the rugged Razor in particular. Alright, so here is the connecting system for the Razor, and yeah, this light's kind of in the way. Let me pop that off real quick. Alright, so it's got this locking collar down here, and all I've got to do is pop that locking collar loose, and then I can just pop the suppressor off there. Now on this 300 Blackout, I've got their kind of radial muzzle brake on there. That's just the one that they gave me with the suppressor. It was supposed to come, I believe, with the 3-prong flash hider, but for whatever reason they didn't have that in the box, so the gun shop gave me this rugged mount. Now, a little bit of a downside to this particular suppressor is that there's no real way to use a direct thread adapter. So for each gun that you want to put it on, you either have to swap back and forth their proprietary rugged muzzle devices, or you've got to buy a different one for each gun. Right now, I've got 3 of these. They're not cheap. This simple little thing runs about $95, which is kind of insane, in my opinion. So I probably won't be getting more of these muzzle devices unless I really want to stick with rugged suppressors overall, and in that case I'll probably put them on everything. So that is what I've got on the 300 Blackout AR pistol here. On both my 5.56 AR and the Bergara that I'll show you here in a few minutes, I've put on this 3-port muzzle brake, and it's also got the thread adapter. I purchased this 1/2x28 3-port brake quite a while ago, at the same time I bought the suppressor, and this itself seems to be a really nice brake just for keeping everything steady on the AR. So that's the muzzle device I've got on both this and the Bergara. With that said, let me set this aside and we'll do a little bit of shooting, starting here with the 300 Blackout, and the loads I'm shooting today are just my 300 Blackout plinking loads. I don't remember if I did a load workup video on these or not. They're not super accurate. We're just looking for gigantic shifts if there is any. If there's not, we're not even gonna bother adjusting the optic whatsoever. The 300 Blackout is more of a close range weapon. If I can hit say an 8-inch steel plate at 100 yards with the 0 I have, I'm not gonna even worry about it. These are Hornady 125 grain full metal jackets over some H110 and a CCI 400 primer, if I remember correctly, in Starline brass. No suppressor this time. I think I do have all of the guns zeroed. This is a take 2 of this particular video, and I didn't have this gun zeroed with the new muzzle device yet, and that took me way too long, so I decided to just show you guys starting from here. So I'm just going to use a center hold on that target down there. We're not going to be dead on because, again, we're shooting with the red dot. All right. For safety's sake, I will unload the gun before putting on the suppressor. Since my hand has to be all out here in front of it. And we'll shoot a group suppressed and then go compare them. All right, I'm going to pull this out of the way and look through the scope on my Vergara. All right, and that particular, the 300 Blackout, I do have zeroed with the suppressor. As you can tell, I didn't shoot the best group with it, but you can see that there is a point of impact shift. With just 6 shots, this is cool to the, well, not cool to the touch, but it's barely lukewarm, very easily handled. Pull the suppressor off of that, switch targets, and we'll shoot the 223. All right, and for the 223 AR today, we'll be shooting a Hornady 55 grain soft point over 25 grains of H335 in some Winchester brass, I believe. Yep, with some Winchester small rifle primers in here. Not the most accurate load, just kind of my standard planking load in 223. This will be a little bit easier to hold a good group. When I was shooting earlier, I was getting much better groups with the 300 Blackout. Was definitely holding more consistently. But we've got 6 power magnification through this primary arms. SLX 1:6 with the ACSS reticle. Really love this little scope. Excellent value for the money. Seems to track perfectly. And we'll shoot here. This is with the 3-port brake. At the target there on the left. Super light recoil with that brake on, but it is loud. All right. Not a bad little group there from what I can see. I will, yep, we're unloaded. I'll thread on the suppressor. Slightly more recoil, a little more pleasant sound, although the 5.56 definitely doesn't suppress as well as the 300 Blackout or the 6.5 Creed. Especially with the port pop you get over here, and this thing is horrendously overgassed. You guys might be able to see in the video. Even with the brake on, it's throwing brass kind of that way. And that's going to make it louder as well. So you can definitely see just a little bit of a point of impact shift up and to the right when we put the suppressor on. That's actually not too much at all. Let me do a quick measurement here. We are half MOA down and half MOA left with the first group, and we're maybe a quarter and a quarter with the second group. So a quarter MOA shift between the two, not bad at all, and I'm really quite pleased with that actually. We'll switch targets one more time and check it out with the Creedmoor. Loading up the 142 grain Sierra Match King load in the 6.5 Creed. Super soft recoil there with the muzzle brake on. That's definitely going to be nice for PRS. I flinched a little bit there. I don't know why. Because you guys know the recoil on this, especially with the muzzle brake, is not a whole lot at all. Man, I think I'm gonna probably continue saying this in every video with this rifle. I love this Bergara rifle. It just runs so smoothly. Probably will upgrade it in the future, change a few little things, but for right now it is awesome in its factory configuration. Shoot a group there at the target on the right. Not much more recoil at all, and a whole lot quieter. All right, 2 shots through the same hole there. And from center of that first group to center of the second group, looks like about 1 MOA, which is consistent with what I've gotten before, and super easy to dial in. I probably will do some tests in the future as far as consistency goes, pulling off the suppressor and putting it back on. But from the groups I was shooting earlier with the suppressor on, it's throwing them in the exact same place. And as you saw, the suppressor has been on several different guns and then gone back on the Creedmoor here at the end of the video. So, I think that is about all for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that short introduction to the Rugged Razor 7.62 here. I've really been enjoying it so far. At some point, I probably will get a can with a little more volume, something that makes things a little bit quieter. But for now, this one suppressor, I think, is going to work extremely well on all of my centerfire rifles, and it's going to make things a heck of a lot more enjoyable to shoot, especially the bolt-action rifles. I will probably do a comparison to see how easy it is to stay on target with the suppressor versus the muzzle brake, shooting off of barricades and such. And if it's not noticeably different, I'll end up shooting the suppressor in PRS competitions with this rifle just because it is so much more pleasant to me, the shooter. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please check us out on Instagram and Patreon. If there is anything that you can think of that hasn't really been done or discussed with the Rugged Razor 7.62 suppressor, please let me know down in the comments and we'll see if we can make it happen. Y'all have a good one.